Mackinac Policy Conference is underway, and this year's theme is bringing the future together.
The annual conference brings together all kinds of speakers and stakeholders to tackle issues unique to Michigan, from workforce development to growing the population. A wide range of topics will be covered over the next few days at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Joining us now from the conference is Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel. Mark, thanks for being here today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
So we know it just got kicked off, but let's talk about that theme to start with, bridging the future together. I know there's only been a couple of conferences or speeches so far, but what do you think that really means? What's the focus going to be?
Obviously, it's about bringing the region together for me, and having Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and not just the county executives, but all the different lawmakers and business folks in and around the region coming together to try to figure out what do we do and how do we solve issues so that we can bring more attention to Southeast Michigan. Obviously, the city of Detroit being our urban center of the region, the viability and the vibrance of what's happening downtown has been incredible. So we need to celebrate that. And I think this is an opportunity for us to come together and realize we're competing with other regions around the globe. So we need to make sure whatever we're doing it kind of cohesively and getting that message out around the world, not just throughout the country.
And when we talk about that cohesiveness, and again, the theme of being a bridge and bringing people together, the unity, right now things are so politically divided, and there's been such an issue with that across the country for so long. Do you feel like that gets in the way sometimes of the progress of the state?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, it starts at the highest of levels, at the national level. It's unfortunate, you have candidates that are running for office, that are more interested in, kind of shooting barbs at one another and talking negatively. And, the party, both parties kind of play into that. I'm one of those folks that tends to be more interested in, how do we resolve an issue? I've never really been interested in the politics, and I think that's what people recognize in Macomb County. So we try to take the partisan aspect out of what we're doing in Macomb County, and I've always been able to do that, not reaching across the aisle, but getting in the aisle and figuring out how do we resolve, problems or issues. But yeah, you're absolutely right. At the national level, it's just gotten so bad. And, it tends to lead conversations, which is very unfortunate, as opposed to the real issues that the public or the people want to hear and want to know how we'll resolve them.
Yeah, on that note, from your perspective, how valuable are events like the Policy Conference? Do you feel like it's really an opportunity to work together and to see each other on a different level than you do day in and day out on the job?
It's interesting you ask that question because it depends. If it's an election year, there tends to be more of that kind of flavor of politics being embedded into it. And this being a very, strong election year, being a presidential cycle, there is more politics. There is more partisan aspects into who's communicating with who, and what you're saying kind of has to follow along party lines. Otherwise, there's challenges within the parties themselves. But the reality is, we're going to still get business done. We're going to still make those contacts. And when I'm up here, it's not just the meetings that you have planned. It's those, I guess, if you will, street corner conversations that we're having that, we're able to resolve things, or at least now set up meetings after the conference to talk a little more in depth about what we can do and how do we make things happen from a business perspective and or even sometimes from the political perspective.
All right, looking at the Senate race, U.S. Representative Alyssa Slotkin and former Congressman Mike Rogers declining to debate. How much of an issue or impact do you think that could have? Do you think people are coming there wanting to hear those debates, or do they want to hear more about the state and the benefits that we could see there?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, great candidates. We're fortunate. There's a great field of candidates on both Republican and Democratic side. I'm so glad to see that because people have choices. And, anytime public officials are running for office, there needs to be other public officials engaged in the race so that people have the clear opportunity to ask questions and find out. So a debate is always a good thing. Maybe it's a little too early on for the two of them. And I'm sure some of the others felt, maybe they're being a little shunned by not being a part of that debate process. But again, we'd love to hear what they have to say, but I think people are really tuned in already and are making up their minds. Even like this presidential race, I think people have already pretty much decided what they're going to do. So for them to have a debate up here, if that were ever the case, I don't know that would change people's minds much. I think people are, interested in one candidate or the other, or just not interested in what's happening at the national level.
Sure. Well, even without the debate, still a lot going on. A couple of sessions so far today, I know, focus on collegiate athletics and solving Michigan's housing crisis. Sometimes there are big announcements at these conferences. So is there a particular session that you are looking forward to this week, or anything you can give us a sneak peek of what to expect?
Yeah, we're going to be making an announcement along with the governor. Myself, Dave Coulter, and Warren Evans, and it's along with Automation Alley, and talking about what we're doing with the 3D printer, Project Diamond, and it's a great opportunity to talk about what we're doing to advance manufacturing here in Michigan, specifically in Southeast Michigan, and how no one else does it better than we can do right here in Macomb County, Wayne County, Oakland County. Again, from concept to consumer, it's made here because of what we've got going with manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. So we're going to be making an announcement Thursday on that particular issue.
You know, for the first time in a decade, we've seen an uptick in terms of the population increase, specifically in Detroit. That's a very heavy topic there that will most likely come up. Any other major issues that you're expecting or that you want to hear about?
Yeah, and again, that's a great point. That's what we need to start focusing on. You know, this whole talent issue has been a concern. You know, we know we've got the jobs, job opportunities. There's plenty of jobs. We want to make sure that those are graduating from our colleges, universities, or getting out of high school and looking for some of the trade jobs are staying here in Michigan and taking on those jobs. But we need to figure out how do we get others from across the globe to realize this is the place to be. You know, Southeast Michigan, and how do we grow that together so that people are moving to this area? Maybe it is quality of life. Maybe it is the natural resources and this, I guess, beautiful Great Lakes that we have in and around this area. We need to help continue to promote that, but we need to do that together so that people are focusing on, you know, the positive aspects of what's happening, as opposed to maybe the politics or sometimes the challenges that we see that often sometimes lead our news stories. So again, great opportunity for us to figure out how do we grow the region, in particular getting talent and attracting them here to take care of those jobs that we have available.
All right, well, we will be following what's happening up there. We look forward to hearing some updates throughout the week. Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel, thanks for joining us.